Superman Unlimited, issue 11, Dan Slott writing with Lucas Meyer on the art. And I'm not mad at seeing Lucas Meyer's name on the art credit.
It looks good.
I do enjoy his art. So this is an interesting issue, and it obviously sets something up by the end, and it's very different from what Slott's been doing on this book up until now. Obviously, he was teasing a little bit of this. He was teasing this arch nemesis for John. That's let me get his name here because I'm not going to remember it until I see it.
Master Tixes.
Tixes, yes. I knew it was a bunch of Mixopolitic looking letters, but I couldn't remember what the formation was. Yes, Tixes. Master Tixes, a fourth dimensional demon. And this issue is largely just him showing up and being like, hey, John, we've not met yet, but I'm back here to destroy you before we ever actually become arch nemesis. And I'm going to like fight you through time. I'm going to show you a bunch of stuff. Blah, 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 blah. And it also does kind of a lot to recap John's story, like his past. Like, here's, how he came to be. Here's how he sort of, got kidnapped for a few years, spent some time in a volcano, and finally came back. And his parents were sad that they missed part of his childhood, and so on and so on. It's a lot of recapping, which kind of works for new people jumping on. It also works because it's setting up what the cliffhanger is going to be at the end of this issue, because the premise that this is setting up, which we really just get to at the end of this, is that Tixes, I had to take his name again there, basically, because he gets defeated, right, effectively he accidentally it turns John into what he's going to become anyway by like forcing him into this position. He's like, shit, I'm going to give you some kind of a gift effectively, and that gift is young John Kent gets like a ripple in time, and young John Kent comes out, and so we're going to have adult John Kent with rebirth young John Kent as a almost like a Batman and Robin-esque pairing going forward for this arc, seemingly.
It feels like the pulling of John Kent, young John Kent, is from the volcano era. It's like, as that began, it's like, all right, we're just going to say that didn't happen. We're pulling him out, and maybe one day he'll have to go back in there to not cause a paradox, but probably not. Yeah,
I mean, it seems like he was in the volcano when he's pulled out here, because he's like, oh, is anyone there? Like, he's been trying to fight his way out of the volcano. So, I mean, it's interesting, and obviously we're going to play with this idea that young John Kent doesn't know who old John Kent is, because by that point, John Kent's wearing a mask. He's become Tomorrow Man.
Yeah, so I mean, we've seen this all over the covers and stuff like that for like a few months now. It's been teasing, oh, here's this guy who's showing up post Superman, and he's wearing a mask, and he's also got like I think it was Matt who said like a Flamebird sort of thing.
It was like a Nightwing.
Flamebird and Nightwing.
Yeah, it was a Nightwing-based looking thing, yeah.
He's got that going on. So we were all debating like, who is this guy? Who's going on here? I don't think I could have come up with a more convoluted answer as to how we got here, but I enjoyed the story. Like, I thought it was fun the way we did it, where even within the context of the story, Tixes is having fun with like, oh yeah, your dad disappeared, and like post DCKO, that's where we're at now. And John's like, no, we're not. He just fought the Puzzler last issue. And Tix is like, oh, sorry, let me fast forward a few weeks. Well, actually, and he like injects the knowledge into his head.
On that note, I love that he got his name wrong, because it wasn't the Puzzler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What'd he say? I can't even remember.
No, he said Puzzler, right? But
he said Puzzler.
But that wasn't his name, right? It was, okay, what was it? It wasn't Puzzler.
Puzzler, Trickster.
It wasn't
Riddler.
Trickster, because Trickster's the one that they kept, like, he kept assuming they're going to think him.
Prankster?
It was the Prankster.
There we go.
Right. But I liked that joke, though. I liked it because that was like a running thing that no one remembered this loser's name, right? So I liked that little callback. That was good stuff.
But yeah, Tix's entire thing is just basically he knows that him and John fight at like the edge of a black hole at the end of time or something like that. And we see that John's wearing the outfit. He's wearing like the clothes that he's going to get by the end of the issue. So Tixis comes back and basically just tries to discourage him the whole time. He's just trying to neg him of like, you suck. You're never going to be the real Superman. You're always going to be second best, second banana. And now your dad was back and he shows back up. Like, no one cares about you as Superman. And he's like, all right, fine. I'll become Tomorrow Man. And Tixis is like, ah, crap. I did the thing that I didn't want to make happen.
Yeah, yes. I accidentally made my rival, like, too important to work. That's effectively what he did here. Yeah, I mean, I like the end result of this, and I think this villain is an interesting nemesis for John to be his specifically. I do think this issue suffers a little bit though from like, you know, in the middle it's like, oh, we're just kind of like bringing up memories and we're just kind of like going through time. Like here's some World War II images, here's a dinosaur, here's this. Like it's all just background to like explaining John's story, and there's not really much happening until the last couple of pages. It's just very like you know, like I feel like you could have maybe not got to the end point in a few pages, but I think you could have condensed a lot of what actually takes up the majority of this issue down to a few pages. Like it really isn't actually that much going on. It's all just pretty generic, like flying in front of some planes from World War II and you know, whatever else, right? There's a lot of stuff here that's just kind of fluff as we're kind of setting up what the story is going to be.
That's the thing, is I think for us it feels fluff because we are so familiar with John. We know what the story is. We've been keeping up with Superman Unlimited. I think viewing it as a jumping on point, this stuff is kind of needed because you do need to tell these people, like, John has a very complicated history even now, even before we throw in this weird time loop thing. He's already got a complicated history because even in the backstory they give him here, they gloss over the fact of like, he was born during Convergence. We're not going to talk about that. And when they talk about Jor-El, it's like, I think they specifically say Jor-El took him and like traveled to the future or whatever. And it's like, that's what it is now. That's what the new history of the DC universe, like guidebook set up as the current continuity. But as it was written, that wasn't what happened either. So it's all this slimming down to give you the most basic version that's necessary.
Well, which is fine. We don't need to have, like, we don't need to talk about conversions ever.
No, of course not. Never. That was the first thing they retconned. As soon as they got into Rebirth, they're like, okay, Convergence never happened. Moving on.
Yes. No, it's just, you know, it's like, oh, like he's like, I can attack you. I've all at times at my disposal. I can attack you with war machines, with dinosaurs, with this and that. And it's all just kind of fluff because it doesn't really feel like a real fight. It feels like just like, I think I like the idea of this villain, and he's kind of like a, like, because Mexipetalic's like, oh, he loves Superman and he wants to play with Superman. This isn't that, but I do kind of like this idea of like, he thinks he's John's arch nemesis, but in kind of a fun, goofy way where he enjoys being his arch nemesis and wants to just torment him, but never actually do it. Like this idea, if like some other supervillain showed up and says, hey, I've actually got a way for you to kill John Kent. I like the idea that this demon would be like, oh, I don't know. I kind of like messing with him. I feel like that's, you know, not really what I want, to be honest.
I also kind of like it from the viewpoint of, because he is this master of time, he has like, he knows where everything is going to end up anyway. He knows that like whatever he does up until that point is not going to matter. Like he can't kill John. It's kind of the reverse Flash, like the Zoom sort of thing of like, he can't kill Superboy up until that moment because he knows where their final fight's actually going to take place. So he can just do whatever and just be dicking around with him the whole time. I think this issue could have, as we get to the end of it, he does just kind of peace out and it doesn't feel like he's going to come back. I'm sure he will, but it doesn't feel like he's even the focus of this arc. It feels more like we're going to be more focused on the fact that there are two Johns than the fact that Tixis is even there.
Yeah. I see potential in him for sure. It just, this issue feels like it's a lot of wheels spinning. You know, unless you do need the refresher. If you need to remember and like learn about John's past and like set this stuff up, then I see why it's maybe good for a jumping on issue. But because that stuff doesn't feel necessary for me, and then all the stuff with like the fighting through time, it doesn't have that much weight to it because he is this monster, this demon that's just shown up, and he's very lighthearted. So it's not like, oh, it feels like John's been pushed to his limit or anything like that. It just kind of feels a bit fluffy. And then you get to the end and it's like, okay, so he takes, because he takes the outfit from like, there's part of like, he's attacking him with like stuff from World War II and dinosaurs, but he also attacks him with like these like Superman space cops and these like hover cars from the future. And John takes like part of their outfit to make his Tomorrow Man outfit. That's what he does.
Yeah, he's like, oh, this is just my identity now. I'm stealing this from this future stuff. So, I mean, I personally, I'm okay with this for at least the reign of the Superboy stuff. it feels weird if this tries to continue on past that.
Yeah.
Like if we don't have this, I'm fine either way. Once we get out of this, of either Tomorrow Man going away or sending back young John to where he was. However they want to come out of this, I think it has a way to make it work. But both of them being around just feels messy.
I'm fine with it for an arc. Like, I'm not to have a problem with that. Yeah. I never even considered the idea that somehow, like, Tomorrow Man might sacrifice himself and we're back to young John permanently. Like, he sticks around and it's like he never had to grow up in the volcano. Like, I'm not thinking that's going to happen, but you just saying that as a possibility is kind of interesting. Like, if they want to, like, retcon the retcon almost.
Yeah. Because, I mean, like, what's sticking him here right now is like, okay, look, we've already dealt with, he might have a little trauma. He's already broken up with his boyfriend. So, like, he doesn't have a relationship he has to deal with there. I think this could end with a thing of like, yeah, no, I'm going to go off and I'm going to have the final fight with Tix's, which is at a singularity point in time. And maybe he has to do the sacrifice play there.
Yeah. And it's not even like it would be, you know, like if he goes to like Superman and Lois, it's not even like they're adopting someone. It is still John. It's still their John. Yeah. He's just, you know, and this was a time period they missed with him, and now he gets to grow up as normal. If anything, they've delayed him growing up because he was all this timey-wimey nonsense. He's starting this age a few years later than he would have been otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely. The only thing that I wonder if that would mess up a little bit is, I guess it wouldn't. The Tom King future timeline stuff with Trinity. But, like, he seems to be roughly the same age that he should be. Because
it's just like, it seems like a big gap just now, right? Because Damien's, like, you know, 13, 14, and he's maybe, like, 19, 20. But that's nothing when you're an adult. Like, that you know, I mean, that's the same difference between us. And we don't seem like we're, you know, vastly different ages.
No, not at all, Boomer.
Har, 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 har. So, no. And if anything in that future stuff with Tom King, it feels like John and Damien seem about the same age, which would be more in line with him being the kid version now than not. Yeah. Yeah. So maybe this is just, I don't think it was planned that far in advance, but once Dan Slott came up with the idea, maybe it was just like, can we make this work? Again, I'm not convinced that that's what they're going to do, but I think the option is kind of there, which is interesting. It's just a question of, like, do they want to stick to adult John for any reason? Is there something they want to keep him around for, or do they feel like they've got more they can do with young John at this point?
Strangely enough, obviously we haven't gotten to it this week, but it does feel like he might be a bit of a leadership role on New Titans, so he'd have to back down from that, I feel like, but that's it. That's the only thing I could think of.
That's maybe the one wrench here, is that New Titans is kind of established older John in that. And that's going to be a thing, at least going for an arc or two, you would assume. Yeah. So, yeah. No, it's interesting, though. But yeah, so we get this final 2-page spread, and young John's like, oh, I'm free. And he's got the jacket with the S on it that he had back at the start of Rebirth and all that. And, yeah, old John's like, oh, boy. So I feel like we're going to do some fun here where young John doesn't know who Tomorrow Man is for a while, and he's going to, like, hide it until there's a big reveal later on. And we'll see how he reacts to all that stuff.
I'm wondering, is this a thing where Tomorrow Man, old John, may, like, try to keep his own identity secret for a while? Because it looks like, at least for a couple of issues here, there is going to be some level of John against old John. It does seem like they are going to be fighting each other. So maybe he keeps a bit of a low profile, or like maybe he's purposefully antagonistic a little bit towards the younger John, of just like, yeah, well, you didn't have to go through my trauma.
Well, not yet.
Theoretically, not ever. He's out of the volcano. He doesn't have to do it.
He's probably going back. Like, I still think that's the most likely thing, is that he's going back. But yeah. So Tomorrow Man and Superboy. It sounds like a thing. All right. And the art by Meyer is pretty solid. It's very clean, as it usually is. It's very bold and colorful. I think the only thing that hurts it for me is because it is just this kind of, like, drifting through different time periods, is there's not a lot of progression or, like, sense of continuity. Like, it's not like we're in a location so you get a sense of space or a sense of, like, oh, you know, because normally, let's say you're fighting in a building, you go through a wall, you're down the street, there's a sense of, like, oh, we moved from there to there, and there's, like, a sense of time and geography. There's none of that here, because it's like, oh, one page there's a dinosaur, next page we're in the sky and there's planes, next page there's this. There's no sense of, like, continuity here.
No, like the very first page where he's talking to John, it's the ruins of Smallville. And before I read the page, I was like, oh, did I miss something? Like, I haven't been keeping up on every Superman Unlimited issue. Did I miss something that I need to go back for? But he's like, no, this is Smallville in a few hundred years. And here it is when tornadoes were there. And here it is when it's underwater. And it's like, oh, okay. Like, time means nothing. Location means nothing.
Yeah, yeah. So but that's not like a negative on the art. Like quality, it's just that the premise doesn't lend itself to some other strengths that I would get from the art. You know, so. All right, what are you giving Superman Unlimited?
I still really enjoyed like the timey-wimey aspect of it, and I think it's setting up for some cool stuff. So I'm still gonna give it a 7.5.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think I'll go with a straight 7. So I'm in a similar kind of boat. But yeah, 7 out of 10 for me. You know, still good, like what it sets up at the end, but like I say, I have my reservations just about like kind of the bulk content of this issue in particular.